I'm starting to give this old truck a little bit of love today. I got it in, vacuumed it out, and I'm gonna wash it up a little bit, but you know, I'm just realizing more and more that I've got to get rid of some projects, because when I start driving these old rigs, I start loving them again, and I start realizing why I enjoyed them so much to start with. And you know, this old truck's like a mother to me. I've had it for 27, 28 years, something like that. Yeah, you know, I got to get this thing narrowed down to a dozen or so, to a half a dozen maybe, because when I drive that Impala, I just love it, you know. And when this old truck was all I had, and there was a time that it's all I had, and I drove it back and forth to California in my business, and it's got dual tanks on it, and I'd leave here full, and I'd gas up down in about Weed somewhere, Weed or Red Bluff or somewhere in there, and then probably Weed, and then I'd drive on down to, I don't know, Pea Soup Anderson's or somewhere down there, maybe around Los Banos, and fill up again, and then go on to Santa Maria. But anyway, like I said, there was a time when this old truck is all I had. When I come out of my divorce, I wound up with this old truck and 2 of them chainsaws and clothes on my back after 25 years in the workforce. But you know, it's what I needed to pull myself up by the bootstraps and get going again, and that's what I did. So here we are. The Lord's been good to me, and I have no complaints. Every mistake I ever made was my own, not his. So a little backstory on this truck. It had a big old 4-speed in it when I got it, and every year we'd head to California and the clutch would go out, and we'd get down there, and one year I pushed on the clutch and busted the bolt off on the frame that holds that lever over to the clutch lever over to the bell housing, and went to the junkyard and got one. And next year I did the same thing, went back to the same junkyard, and he said, yeah, there's that beige truck. And I said, no, I got it last year, you got to get me a different one. Okay. And there was something misaligned on the, I don't know, the throw-up bearing would ultimately hang up on the sleeve over the input shaft on the front of the transmission. It would somehow, it was not quite lined up, and I replaced, you know, and did all that and put clutches in and fixed, and finally we pulled that thing out and slapped a Turbo 400 in there, and that Hurst slapstick shifter, which was the thing back in the day, that was a ticket, boy. And you know, it's been in there 20 years or more, and it never given me any trouble. The only thing quit working was the light down there in the indicator part, but the selector cable still even works. It's never failed me, never even had to adjust it. So a little testament to the Hurst slapstick shifter. Now, due to that problem, one time we were coming home from California, still had that 4-speed in there, and my old buddy Blair, he had wrapped these monkey legs around that 4-speed, and Jason sat over on the other side, and 3 of us riding this thing. It just beat you to death, boy, going down I-5. But anyway, we were headed home from a job down there. I don't remember where we was at, down in Oregon somewhere, and I pushed the clutch in, and it stayed on the floor. So we didn't even, you know, think about it. We just kind of looked at each other, shrugged our shoulders, and oh well, started it off in first gear and shifted it that way, and all the way home without a clutch, not a problem. So when we put this, put that Turbo 400 in there, just for the sake of the memory about that journey, I pushed that clutch on the floor 20 years ago, and it's still on the floor. There it is. So I don't know, I get a kick out of that. I just left it there. It's not in the way, can't see it, the mat's over it. So a little story about my 73 Chevy 3/4 ton truck. Now, one of the things that I always wanted to do, and I never have done, is it's got that manual, like I said, dual tanks on it, and it's got that manual switch there. When you pass in the semi and you run out of gas, it makes your pucker string tighten up, and so you got to reach down and fumble with that thing and get it shifted over, and it takes it a little bit to pick up, you know. And if you don't switch it on the fly, then you have to prime the carburetor. It won't pick it up. So that's just one of the little deals about this thing. Manual fuel pump. One of the things I said I'd like to do is change that out and put an electric one on there. It'd be kind of nice to have just a switch you just flip to change the tanks. And I've got the switch, I just haven't done it. So there again, when I start driving this thing, I get excited about doing these little things. And you know, like when it was the only rig I had, boy, it was well maintained, I guarantee. I was just going over this thing with a fine-tooth comb all the time. I remember one time pulling it in the shop to tighten all I was going to do is tighten the headers. And my ADD kicked in, and I went into a whiteout. And about 3 hours later, I come to, and I had this thing up on jacks, all 4 shoes off of it, all 4 wheels off of it, and I was detailing the lug nuts. So, you know, some of that obsessive compulsive behavior that I'm so known for. All right, that's about enough of that. That's enough about me and the truck. See ya. So, a little testament to the Hurst slap shift stick shifter.